Chapter 9, Black Veil. The name stayed with him. Not just in thought. In structure. In pattern. Black Veil. It wasn't just a label. It wasn't just a classification tag buried in an old file. It was a directive. Something written with intent. Something designed to exist beneath everything else. Hidden deeper than standard ARC records. Deeper than Directorate oversight. Deep enough that it wasn't supposed to be found. And now, it had a name. Observation Dome 7 sat high along the inner curvature of one of Arc 34's habitat rings. During active cycles, it was a place for instruction, astronomy modules, navigation theory, planetary studies. Students gathered here to look outward, to understand the void beyond the arc. Now, it was empty. Late cycle had cleared it out hours ago. The lights were dimmed to ambient levels, just enough to illuminate the curved glass of the dome and the vastness beyond. Stars stretched endlessly across the void. Below them, reflected faintly in the transparent Arc 34's own structure curved away into darkness, its lights tracing the shape of a world that was never meant to be one. The silence here was different. Not sterile. Not abandoned. Just distant. The kind of quiet that made everything feel smaller. Except what they were looking at. The data file hovered in the air between them, projected from Artemis's wrist interface. LED text. Scrolling logs. Fractured metadata stitched together from the hidden node below. And at the top. Directive, Black Veil. Nova stood with her arms crossed, her posture tight, controlled, but there was something else beneath it. Focus. Intensity. This isn't just a cover-up, she said. Rian shook his head slowly, eyes locked on the projection. No, this is organized. Artemis didn't move. Didn't blink. His attention was fixed on the file like it might disappear if he looked away. His voice came out quiet. Read it again. Rian hesitated. Not because he didn't want to. Because he understood what that meant. But he did it anyway. His voice was lower this time. More careful. Directive Black Veil authorized under Emergency Planetary Protocol. Nova leaned in slightly, scanning ahead of him. Linked to surface operations during initial terraforming phase. Rian swallowed. Kept reading. 8 years ago. The words landed. Hard. Heavy. Unavoidable. 8 years ago. The same year. The same time. The same moment the Ark had made its first irreversible mistake. Artemis's eyes sharpened. The nukes, he said. The word felt wrong in the silence. Too blunt. Too real. Nova turned toward him. You think this is connected? Artemis didn't answer immediately. He didn't need to. The connections were already forming. Already locking into place. My parents were working in a maintenance tunnel, he said. Rian followed the logic, his voice tightening as the realization spread. Which means they were part of infrastructure control. Nova finished it. They saw something. Silence followed. Not empty. Not uncertain. Certain. Heavy. Real. The kind of silence that didn't leave room for doubt. Artemis's hands curled slowly into fists at his sides. They weren't killed randomly. He stepped closer to the projection, eyes scanning the file again, faster now, sharper, pulling details apart. Fragments stood out. Personnel reassignment logs. Restricted movement zones. Emergency clearance overrides. Entire sectors locked down without explanation. And beneath it, a pattern. Consistent. Deliberate. He spoke again. They were silenced. Nova didn't argue. Didn't question. Because the data didn't leave space for it. Rian exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair. But why? He asked. What could they have seen that was worth this? Artemis's gaze shifted, away from the file, out through the dome. Toward the void. Toward the planet below. Deus Domus. Even from here, it was barely visible, just a faint mass beneath the Ark's orbit, wrapped in storms and scarred by humanity's attempt to force it into something livable. Terraforming. That was the official word. Progress. Survival. Adaptation. But Artemis had read enough by now to know the truth was rarely that simple. Emergency planetary protocol, he said quietly. That's not standard terraforming. Nova frowned slightly. No. It's not. Rian looked between them. Then what is it? Artemis didn't look back at him. Something went wrong. The words were simple. But they carried weight. Bad enough that they activated a directive no one's supposed to see. Nova's expression hardened. And instead of fixing it, they buried it, Artemis finished. The projection shifted slightly as he navigated deeper into the file. More fragments surfaced. Incomplete. Damaged. But enough. Surface operation logs, partial. Energy discharge readings, spiked far beyond expected parameters. Containment warnings. Then. Redactions. Entire sections missing. Not corrupted. Removed. Deliberately. Nova leaned closer. They didn't just hide the incident, she said. They erased the cause. Rian's voice dropped. And anyone who knew about it. Artemis's mind moved faster now. Connecting timelines. Overlaying events. The nuclear strikes weren't the beginning. They were a response. Something had forced the Ark's leadership into an extreme solution. Something bad enough to justify it. And Black Veil. Black Veil wasn't about the strikes. It was about what came after. Containment. Control. Silence. His parents had been in the tunnels. Infrastructure control. Which meant they had access. Access to systems. To data. To whatever had gone wrong beneath the surface. They hadn't just been in the wrong place. They had been in the right one. At the worst possible time. Artemis's fists tightened further. They saw it, he said. Nova didn't ask what. She already knew. Yeah. Rian shifted uneasily. And someone made sure they didn't say anything. The stars outside the dome burned cold and distant. Uncaring. Unchanging. Inside. Everything had shifted. This wasn't just a mystery anymore. It wasn't just about Artemis's parents. It was bigger. Systemic. Planned. Black Veil wasn't a single incident. It was an operation. And it was still hidden. Still protected. Still active, maybe. Artemis turned back to the projection. His reflection faintly overlapped the data, two versions of him layered together. The one the system saw. And the one standing here now. They control the records, he said. They control access. Nova nodded slowly. Yeah. Rian looked at both of them. So what do we do? Artemis didn't hesitate. We don't go through them. He reached out and closed the projection. The data vanished instantly. The dome returned to silence. To stars. To distance. But the weight of what they had learned didn't fade. It settled. Locked in. Artemis turned slightly, looking back toward the inner structure of the Ark. Toward its systems. Toward the layers of control that had hidden this for 8 years. If Black Veil is tied to the surface, he said, then the truth isn't here. Nova's eyes followed his. You're thinking about going down there. Not a question. A realization. Artemis nodded. Eventually. Rian let out a breath that almost sounded like a laugh. That's insane. Nova smirked slightly. Yeah. Then she looked at Artemis again. But you're not wrong. Another silence. Shorter this time. Sharper. Focused. Artemis's gaze hardened. 8 years. 8 years of lies. Of erased records. Of buried truth. He didn't feel anger the way he expected. Not loud. Not explosive. Just. Cold. Precise. Directed. They thought it would stay hidden, he said. Nova tilted her head slightly. Everything does. Artemis looked back at the stars. Then down, toward the unseen planet below. Not anymore. Black Veil wasn't just a name. It was a boundary. A line drawn between what people were allowed to know. And what they weren't. Artemis Golmir had just stepped across it. And he wasn't going back. This ends Chapter 9 of Artemis Book 1, Unevaluated. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe for more.